Joining me now live to discuss the day's news is Ben Oquist from the Australia Institute and Renee Gorman from the Institute of Public Affairs. Great to see you both. Let's get straight into it. Let's start with this quarantine breach where two international travellers managed to skip quarantine in Sydney. They then boarded a flight to Melbourne. Ben, both of them has tested negative, but New South Wales police have come out in the last few hours saying that it was actually them to blame. They incorrectly allowed the pair to proceed to Melbourne. Is that good enough?
Yeah, I heard the police fess up to say that a couple of the officers had been told by the passengers that they had a connecting flight and so were led on, and the wrong paperwork was discovered in Victoria. No, it's not good enough, and lessons are being learnt, and I heard the police say they're already putting in new practices. But mistakes will happen. That's the nature of a virus that has resulted in lockdowns and quarantines and borders, that holes will occasionally be found, and the best thing is to learn the lessons from that. I heard Dan Andrews on this topic today sounding very measured, not getting stuck into New South Wales, not getting stuck into the Commonwealth, who after all are responsible for borders with the rest of the world, but saying it's important we learn the lessons, and the if mistakes could be made there, they could be made anywhere. I was struck by Dan Andrews' conciliatory tone, and a little bit less buck shifting and finger pointing, and a bit more problem solving will keep Australia in the great place that it's been put by putting health first. As Greg Hunt said this morning, a combination of leadership and health advice is keeping Australia safe, and ultimately, of course, being of benefit to the economy, because it's only with an effective health response that you can have a strong economy over time.
Absolutely. And you're right, mistakes will be made. But Renee, what do you think that this says about Australia's border controls?
Well, I do have to say one of the things that's refreshing about this case is the openness and transparency from the New South Wales Police Force to fess up to this mistake so early on and so quickly. That kind of openness and transparency would be great to see reflected by other leaders such as Daniel Andrews, who should really be looking at New South Wales as an example of how to handle this pandemic. And yes, it's true that mistakes like this will happen, but what state governments do need to realise is that these mistakes will happen and they need to prevent them, but also that they have to have the best systems on the ground to be able to deal with them when they do happen, such as New South Wales' gold standard for contact tracing, which every state should be trying to emulate, including Victoria, which seems to be a little bit behind on the tracing stakes, because effective contact tracing systems mean that we do not have to needlessly lock down the economy when we have an outbreak of, say, 1 or 2 cases. So they are incredibly important moving forward.
Yeah, but good to see, though, Victoria moving forward with restrictions easing from tomorrow. So that's certainly a positive there.